In parts of Finnish and Northern European folklore, black cats were sometimes seen as guardians, spirit guides, or mysterious protective figures tied to the unknown. And in Finnish folklore specifically, there's even the concept of etiainen, a kind of feeling, impression, or presence that arrives before something else does. And honestly, that's exactly what Road to Vostok's black cat has started to feel like to me. A few days into Road to Vostok, a world event can occur. Somewhere out in the zone, a black cat appears. Not as a jump scare, not as some dramatic boss encounter, just quietly. And eventually, if you know where to look, you can find it hidden away near the outpost, sitting inside of a box near one of the shaft holes in the bunker. At first, it honestly doesn't seem like much. The cat doesn't follow you around, it doesn't walk through the shelter. Right now, it barely does anything at all. You can feed it, move the box around, and bring it back to your shelter. And that's basically it. But the longer I thought about it, the stranger this entire thing starts to feel. Because most survival games don't spend this much time building atmosphere around something meaningless. Especially not a game as grounded as Road to Vostok. Everything else in the game feels heavily rooted in realism. The gunplay, the environments, the pacing, the silence. Which is exactly why the cat stands out so much. Not because it's loud, but because it isn't. During Anti's Midsummer preview video, he briefly talked about Grandma, a future traitor character sometimes referred to as the Oracle of the Border Zone. An old woman who refused evacuation and stayed behind in the zone with her cat until the end. And honestly, that single description changes the emotional atmosphere of the cat completely. Because now it stops feeling random, especially when Anti himself starts acting careful about revealing too much about how the player actually encounters the cat in the first place.
I have to be a bit careful what I reveal about this, since the way how you meet and eventually rescue this cat for your shelter is going to be a surprise in the early access.
Which to me is a little bit strange. Most developers don't treat tiny side mechanics like secrets, and maybe there's nothing deeper going on here. Maybe the cat really is just a small companionship system. Maybe Grandma is simply another survivor NPC or traitor. But I don't think that fully explains why this feels so memorable already. I think part of it comes from how restrained Road to Vostok is. The game leaves a lot of empty space, long quiet walks, cold forests, distant ambient noise, moments where almost nothing happens. And because the game is usually so grounded, the moment something slightly symbolic appears, it almost feels heavier than it normally would. Especially a black cat. Especially one connected to a character called the Oracle of the Border Zone. There's something quietly unsettling about that. Not exactly horror or supernatural in any obvious way, just uncertainty. Like the game is leaving room for the player's imagination to fill in the gaps. And in my opinion, I think that's why the cat sticks with me. And maybe this is why the cat feels strangely important despite barely doing anything at all. Because in a game built around isolation, even small signs of life start carrying emotional weight. The cat hides when danger gets close, it waits quietly beside shelter fires, you bring it home through dark forests and abandoned bunkers, and after a while it stops feeling like a mechanic, and it starts feeling like part of the world itself. And what if it doesn't stop with Grandma's cat? Hidden inside Road to Vostok's character menu is a mysterious progression slot simply marked with a question mark. Mousing over it reveals something called Silent Night, the name of the game's final planned build. The event describes darkness swallowing the world, the North Star becoming your only light, and the feeling of trying to find your way home before everything fades away. Suddenly, the themes surrounding Grandma, the cat, guidance, silence, and survival start to feel connected to something much larger. Not necessarily supernatural, but something existential. Almost mythic in the way that the game frames isolation, darkness, and the fear of losing your way.